This is my video about my capstone project for the Seattle University certificate program. For my capstone project, I made a website where you can go ahead and search for a movie and get a collection of information about it. The capstone uses the OMDB API and Axios to make an API request. It's built using Vue and Bootstrap Vue. And what you see in here is just the home view, where you're presented with a field where you can search for a movie. And we'll just go ahead and say The Hobbit, stored in memory there, and search for The Hobbit, and then we see The Hobbit. And the title of the movie is presented up at the top here, and then we get the plot, and a nice image of the poster for the movie, along with movie details listed over here. And yeah, that's what we get. And then on both of these two views, we see sort of a mix of bootstrap elements and non-bootstrap elements. So the bootstrap element here would be the Jumbotron up top, and that's utilizing the bootstrap view capabilities. And then I replicate the bootstrap element down here for the H4 elements, the plot and the movie detail headers, just for the uniformity across the site. And we'll look at that in the styling and the code in just a minute. And yeah, and then in terms of mobility, mobility looks pretty good. There's one small problem. We'll look at the code in just a minute, but when you shrink the screen, there's a small spot where it doesn't shrink properly. So you see the overlap down here. But other than that, all the mobility looks good. And actually, if you shrink the screen past that, it actually corrects itself and looks really good. But yeah, that is my project, and displays properly, and then mobility works properly on the home screen too. And what else should we look at? This is just the Bootstrap Vue framework, and so in order to use that, you have to have npm installed, you have to have Vue installed, and then you install Bootstrap Vue. And just make sure your dev environment works properly, and then you're good to go. Then this is just my README here, and that sort of says what we were already talking about. I don't think there's much new in here. It just sort of reiterates that I was using Axios to make the OMDB calls, the API calls there. It's deployed on GitHub pages. And we can take a quick look at the code here. And the code, this is the home view. And the home view is the view where you punch in a search phrase. And then just looking through here really quick, you can see the Jumbotron, and that's a bootstrap element. Then down here, we'll just see this is where you punch in a field. This is kind of neat, actually. We could go back here. If you put in a phrase here and then, forget to actually put in a phrase and then click submit, you'll get a little warning. If we go back here, we can see where that's implemented. Just please fill out this field. Just a warning there. But yeah, that's the form for the search phrase. This here is the router push. And the router push lets you take the search phrase and push it to the next view. And the next view is titled the feature view. Feature view is where we actually display the search result for the single search result. And then here's just the Google Analytics implementation, which I think I did correctly. I'm not sure because I haven't had any traffic to the page yet. And then there's just styling down here. There isn't much interesting styling on this page. It's just styling the basically the search element there. And then this is the feature view. And the feature view, actually this is a good place to start down here. The feature view basically just sort of catches that information that we router pushed right here, and it feeds that into an Axios OMDB API call. This is the parameter for a single search result request. That's the API key there. Then it processes that, stores that here. Then why don't we go up to the top and take a look at what it does with that. It basically takes the title out of the result, of the results. It's titled The Results of the API Call, and displays that in the Jumbotron. We saw that earlier. And then it displays the plot down here of the movie. We saw where that was. It displays the poster. And it displays the movie details, and these are in the row and columns system. And it's working pretty well, as we saw, except for that little bit of overlap that I haven't been able to resolve yet. Then the styling here, we can look where the styling was just intended to sort of replicate the bootstrap, whatchamacallit, styling, padding, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, border radius. It looks like bootstrap default uses maybe a 4-pix border radius. I just looked up the background color for the bootstrap Jumbotron that I was getting, text on white and all of that. And then this is just where I was trying to resolve that issue unsuccessfully, of those elements overlapping when I did the media query. And I think that about covers my project as it stands now. One thing that I would like to do would be to have multiple search results. And so my idea would be that you'd have the home page where you punch in a search query, and then you'd be taken to a list of movies that would possibly match that. And the API actually does support that. And then you'd select which movie you want to go to, and then you'd go to the final page, the feature page, where we saw, The Hobbit displayed with all its information. And that way it would look a little bit more like a search engine. And because the API supports that, that actually seems like a plausible thing to do. I just haven't gotten that far on this project yet. Other than that, thank you for taking a look at my video. I've enjoyed learning with all of you, and I wish everyone well.